Hi. Welcome to Live with Miss Steph. Once again, welcome to Live with Ms. Steph. It is lovely to be with you here this afternoon. Today is Monday, September 22nd. So happy first day of autumn, or fall, depending on just kind of how you speak. But yes, today is the autumnal equinox. And so the day and the night are the same amount of time. And so, or rather, the light hours and the dark hours are the same amount of time on equinoxes. That's what an equinox is. Anywho, it is lovely to be with you today. Once again, I'm Miss Steph, founder and executive director of TripleF Empowerment, Inc. I am a teaching scientist here in the Harlem community. For those of you who do not know, or this is the first time meeting me, I am in New York City, specifically in the Harlem neighborhood. And we provide hands-on STEAM educational experiences for children, STEAM being science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So today, for those of you who are wondering, I know it's been a little while, so I thought I would do another Make Slime With Me video, along with making sure that you have your weekly Science Club news. So let's hit the Science Club news running. First things first, this Saturday, September 27th, we are going to be doing the East Harlem Co-AD Event. Let me kind of tag in a few people. All right. East Harlem Co-AD Event. We are also, and as far as the East Harlem event, we are going to be there from 11 to 1 right now. That's the plan, is to be there from, there we go. Okay. We're planning to be there from 11 to 1 p.m. And that event, again, is at Bethl Gospel Assembly. So they're on 120th Street, on the south end of Marcus Garvey Park. And super excited to be at this event. It is a community readiness event. So there's lots of things that will be going on, several things offered to the community for free. And there's a celebration of lots of different things that are happening. Like I said, this is actually an annual event that they do. And this is the first time that Science Club is available for it. So I'm super excited that I ran into one of the organizers when I did, because she has asked me to participate in the past, but I just simply haven't been available, just timing wise. It's really all it is. We're very pro community around these parts here at Miss Steph Science Club. And so, like I said, I'm just glad that we're able to participate this year. And so that's from, the whole event is actually from 11 to 3. It's just that we have something else to do. And that is to go and hang out with the Columbus Amsterdam Ave BID. And so we're going to be over there with them from 3 to 6 p.m. That's the plan. So you have an opportunity to have your science fun in 2 different locations with 2 different community organizations that are hosting the events and that are looking to bring certain things to the community. The East Harlem Co-AD event is focused on community readiness. And again, that is at Bethl Gospel Assembly at 2 West 120th Street from 11 to 3 p.m. We specifically, Science Club, the Science Fun Table will be there from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we'll head over to Columbus, actually no, I want to say Amsterdam Ave, and 106th Street to pass out slime over there from 3. I'm targeting for 3 to 6. Really, it's going to be until the slime runs out. As you all know, that's how it goes. But we're super excited to participate in this particular community organization's events. Then, of course, as you know, Saturday Science Club is coming up, folks. We want to make sure that you all know that Saturday Science Club is on the rise again. So Saturday Science Club, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting in my people. There we go. That's one of them. Boom. Saturday Science Club is going to launch on Saturday, October, boom, let's see if I can find her. Saturday, October 4th is when we're going to be doing our Saturday Science Club launching for this fall. We will run first, second, and third Saturdays. Make sure that you get your young person registered through us. The process for registration is going to be first, you need to do that Google form with me. Then on the first day that you bring your young person, whenever that is, for me, you can register them now, and depending on your family schedule, not bring them until like November or December, because you're most welcome to bring them to the Saturday that works best for your family. But that first Saturday that they're on site, they will need to complete the documentation for the Beacon program that is there. That is a paper documentation, and that is mandatory for everybody. All right. So September 27th, this coming Saturday, free slime science engagement table at 2 locations. And then October 4th, the following Saturday, we will do our launch for Saturday Science Club. And Saturday Science Club is the perfect elementary school play date. All right. And so we have things that are set up. For those of you wondering, okay, so Saturday Science Club, she keeps talking about it. What is it? What is it? What is it? Okay. The way that I set up Saturday Science Club is that each letter of STEAM is covered with at least one table of activities. So for example, we will do a science experiment, most likely something kind of wet, messy chemistry type thing. And at the other tables, the other letters of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, STEAM, are absolutely covered in a game or some type of hands-on activity that they can do. And we have volunteers there, so ways for you to engage in both of the events that we've got coming up, both the September 27th event and the October event. One, you can come, bring a young scientist to get them engaged and get them excited. 2, you can sign up to volunteer. And 3, at all times, as a nonprofit organization, we partner with you, with the donors, to help provide these services and these awesome, important resources to the community. And so you can donate. October 9th, finally, before I get into the fun of making the slime, our final announcement that I'll talk about today on October 9th is DAF, Day of Giving. DAF is Donor Advised Fund. And so a donor advised fund is a tax advantaged savings fund specifically for your giving. And so on October 9th, there will be the second DAF Day, and TripleF Empowerment Inc., us, Science Club, we are participating in that. You should have already seen a post or two right here on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, letting you know that you can use your DAF, use your DAF, your donor advised fund, to support hands-on STEAM education right here in Harlem. So all that being said, that's our last announcement. September 27th, October 4th, October 9th. Those are the 3 dates that I want you to have in your minds for right now. All that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our slime tutorial. Slime tutorial, folks. I know that there are so many slime tutorials out there, so many different opportunities for you to learn about slime. And just because there's other stuff out there doesn't mean that I'm not going to take up my space in the conversation. And so when I teach slime tutorial, so when I teach the children about slime, it's one of the things that I enjoy about it is the fact that it is, to me, one of the activities that we do that hits all 5 letters, right? And you get also some SEL, social emotional learning things involved in there as well. And so, anywho, like I said, slime kind of takes a while. I've said this before on several of my tutorials and all that type of stuff. And so let's hop right in. First thing that I'm going to do, which is a bit different from past videos, is I am actually going to take you all the way through the process. And I'm going to start with my slime activator. So in this bottle, again, reduce, reuse, recycle. This is not sponsored at all by this particular type of water. It just happens to be one of my favorite bottles. I've talked to y'all about that before. These bottles are very strong, and I've never had an issue to where they've gotten punctured because I travel around and teach, as you know, those of you who've been watching for a while. Forgot that my mic is over here now. Who've been watching for a while, you will be able to know that one of the things that TripleF Empowerment Inc. provides through our program, Miss Steph Science Club. I'm Miss Steph. Hi. Thanks for watching the video thus far. Is our Traveling Science Teacher Initiative. And so traveling around the Harlem community mostly, and providing hands-on STEAM education, filling in the gap. There's quite a bit of a gap. I have a lot of content on here, and I'll definitely provide you with that content throughout the year. And if you have more specific questions about it, we can talk about it. A lot of content on here letting you know, okay, about the gap and the opportunity gap, and just the hands-on science education gap that seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger, y'all. When it comes to what I had as a child, and what children are getting now. I specifically serve the Harlem community because I live here. Okay? And so this is the first thing. We are going to make our borax activator. All right. And activator water. Okay. You see how much water I'm using. You see how much borax powder I'm using. Okay. For those of you wondering, this is a 3.25 ounce cup. I use these cups for everything. These are the cups that the slime will be passed out in on Saturday. Do la la do. But yeah, so traveling science teacher. We go around teaching science at schools that either do not have a science teacher on site, or because we have a couple of schools that do have a science teacher, but they, because of funding and because of all kinds of things, the students may only see that person once a week. which simply is not enough. I'm going to say it. And so schools understand the importance of hands-on education, right? Meaning activities where children can actually see the reaction happen instead of just reading about it, because that's boring. It just is. I'm going to say it. I mean, it's my platform, so I can say that. And like I said earlier in the video, I am a teaching scientist. My degree is a biochemistry degree. And I've worked in multiple labs. And so I know the importance of being able to do hands-on activities, being able to follow procedures in real time, and the importance of that, testing various chemicals. There was a period of time when here's our beaker. Okay. This is my slime making container, one of my favorite slime making containers. It is a 1,000 milliliter beaker. Okay, 1,000 milliliters is 1 liter, right? Okay, milli, 1,000. Yeah, you see that how that works? Okay, right. So there's you've got your M right there. Okay, lots of importance to understanding measurement and the proportions. All right. So again, activator, it's water and borax powder. That's it. That's it. That's it. When it comes to activator. Slime, just for clarity, slime, the basics of slime, the two main components of slime is your borax-based activator and glue. Okay. You can use school glue. You can use, there's clear glue. There's all kinds of glue that you can use. I prefer glue all because it's very thick, very strong glue. All right. And slide back to, because I wanted to take you all through the whole process. This is some just tape. You see the tape, very easy to rip off for me as an adult, but the children, the younger children tend to have a little trouble figuring this out. So this is actually another part of real world skills and practicing those skills. A lot of our children right now are having trouble with writing and having trouble with their fine motor skills, simply just because we're not doing enough art and hands-on science activities with them. So even if you're like, well, my kid's not going to be a scientist, which I don't know why you would say that, but, or like, just, yeah, I don't know why you would say that. But even if you, for some reason, don't think that this is not a thing that your child is going to do, say for profession, right? Maybe they're not going to be a bench chemist. Okay, fine. But the skills and of needing to, everybody's going to need to be able to rip tape at some point. Believe it or not, if they don't practice it, right? If they don't get a chance to label things and all that type of stuff, it's very hard for them to learn those skills later in life. So the earlier this stuff is introduced, the better for them. Okay. And so all of these skills, you see how all the skills that you've seen me use, it may seem really basic, but you've seen me use several real world skills that can be applied in just general life. Okay. Just prepping the activator. All right. So I'm labeling, which is very important in science, because once this finally settles and mixes in, this is going to look like regular water, but we know it is not, and it is not safe to drink. Right. So slime activator. And I always like to put the date that I made it. It's the scientist in me. I told you I'm a teaching scientist. Okay. And I say it that way on purpose. Teaching scientist. All right. We've got our activator. It's labeled with the date and actually my initials. Majority of our supplies are made by me, but still. All right, putting that away, and we'll let that sit. Now we're gonna really get rocking with our baby oil. Okay, putting this down. Regular baby oil. Nothing like special. Okay. And once again, as I was saying before I stopped myself to label that, the two parts of slime, the two things that make it slime, okay, as far as your glue-based slime, is your activator, your polymerizing agent, and your glue. You can use different kinds of glue, but I specifically like to use glue all. All right, I'm going to stop there. Okay. And I'll show you how much glue I put in. And yes, this slime is part of a batch of slime that I will be part of what will be passed out on Saturday. Okay. Another measurement opportunity. Okay, very important standard. So we're at about 400 milliliters of, of glue all. Okay. Next thing that I'm going to put in that I like to use, lotion. 18, 19, 20. Right. Going to add some water. This is just regular water. Okay. In past videos, I've given you different ratios of water to glue. Okay. I'm going to say 2 to 1 for this type of slime. Okay. I have my toddler friendly slime. Okay. And when I say 2 to 1, I'm saying 2 parts glue to 1 part water. All right. So inside of here right now, we have several things. I've got our, and I'm going to need more. Okay. To make sure that it gets to the, yeah. Okay. So if I have, right, 400 milliliters, give or take, of glue, how many milliliters of water did I add, and therefore how many milliliters total of my in-part solution if I say that I have about 50 milliliters of oil, right? Did y'all do all that math? See, lots of math, okay? So I should have about 650 milliliters inside of here of substance, right? 200 milliliters of water, 400 milliliters of glue, and then 50 milliliters, give or take, combined of your lotion and the baby oil. Okay. It should be relatively shiny and absolutely opaque. Okay. Notice how this is like completely sticking to the container, right? We're going to put in some shaving cream. Once again, this is live with Miss Steph. I have an event that you should all know about. When is it? September 27th, this coming Saturday. And I'm preparing the first batch of slime for that event. I will make probably there. I'll wait to make some things day of, but before I go, I'll make at least 2 other batches. Okay. 3 total to take with me on that day to make sure that we have enough slime to pass out for folks in between. You know how I like to plan things between now and then. I'll make my official decision and do some announcing as far as what other fun STEAM activities, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, STEAM activities will be available for the children to enjoy. All right. So you see how that has dissolved. A lot of it has dissolved, and then some of it is stuck at the bottom. Okay. We want a saturated solution. Okay. Meaning as much will go into dissolve into the water as possible. And you know you have a saturated solution because you'll start to get some of the solid will fall out of solution. All right. So you add as much activator as needed to turn this whole substance, to change it from this liquid into a solid, right? Slime is a non-Newtonian substance, meaning it behaves differently than expected. When you're gentle with it, it oozes, and when you squish it, it behaves more like a solid. All right. I'm adding this. I've been making slime for years. That's why I know I can add that much to start with. Okay. And I'm going to start stirring, and you'll see that we will start to form our polymer. You see it there? All right. So in addition to having an event this coming Saturday, this tutorial that you're getting today was inspired by, shout out to Miss Harper and her students. Hope she doesn't mind me mentioning them. But shout out to you all. For inspiring this particular video today. Okay. So you see you're getting some slime, but am I done? Anybody in the comment section, anybody who has watched the past videos, do you know, are we finished? We are not done yet. How do I know we're not done yet? It is not coming off of the sides yet. Okay. So we've got a ball forming in the middle, but we still have quite a bit of liquid that has not been activated, that has not been polymerized, that has not been changed from liquid to solid. I'm going to go with a little less than half of this particular cup. Okay. Putting that in there, letting it sit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it sit for a little bit and stir again. To get more and more of it to convert, right? So that's your math and your science, all of those things together related to each other, right? The amount of one of the chemicals, okay, is impacting how much of the other chemical is converted into our new thing, right? So we're getting a chemical reaction. We're using various pieces of technology, right? Sometimes people don't realize, especially these days, because we talk about technology as in things that are electronic devices, but we use so much more, so many more pieces of technology. Hello, this is a piece of technology, paper towel. And some of you may not realize that and may kind of be like, that's not a piece of technology. It doesn't use electricity. That's not the definition of a piece of technology. A piece of technology is something that makes our lives easier or more enjoyable. That is a piece of technology. So a spoon, right, is a piece of technology. It makes things easier to stir. Humans have been using spoons for a really long time. It makes things easier to stir, easier to scoop, easier to manage and move. This container, right, is a piece of technology. It holds this liquid together. Now, sometimes in certain these viral slime videos where they're making slime, they pour the glue on the floor and all that type of thing. Yeah, that's a thing, because eventually what they're trying to prove to you is that eventually when all the stuff is mixed together, you get this solid mass that can be picked up off the floor, but that doesn't mean that it's not easier to make it inside of a container that holds your liquid as you're transitioning it from liquid to solid using this chemical, right? And this chemical is made up of two other chemicals that have combined together to make this solution. A solution is a liquid, or rather a solid dissolved into a liquid, right? So I don't know if you're noticing, every time I lift up, I'm getting, right? I'm getting more and more of the liquid being turned into a solid, okay? So that bottom part there, right now, I only have about 100 milliliters of the liquid that's not converted all the way yet, okay? And bit by bit, I'm adding, okay, my slime activator. Okay, the more slime activator I add, the more glue I convert from liquid glue into slime. Okay. All right. So as I've shared with people in the past, this gives you a real-time understanding, right, of how long it takes to make slime. A lot of times you may see something on YouTube, and this is not to make any like negative comments about those YouTube creators. It's not what this is about. But you may see something on YouTube and think, oh, well, like slime takes like 5 seconds. We can put it together like 1, 2, 3. No, it is a process. Everything. You see how much more is like done? Isn't that cool? Science is a process. So this is another thing that helps teach children real world skills and a concept of like, oh, things take time. Things to be transformed from one thing to another, you need some type of other agent to help that thing change from one thing to another. And so this is why doing science is so fun and so fascinating, so engaging for children, and so exciting for them. And it really supports them in being able to do other things in their lives and understand that, yes, you do have to go to sports practice multiple times for weeks, for months, for years to go from one level, one type of athlete to another, from beginner, from novice to kind of a junior varsity level, right? Or to and then to varsity level, and then to college level, and then to expert level to be able to coach and all that type of stuff, you know. There was a saying back in the day to where like those who can't do teach. That's actually very different. It's kind of like not true. There's no other way for me to say that. Those who are teaching learn to do first. Okay, especially when it comes to science, you learn to do it first, and then you teach how to do it and explain, because those who are teaching have gone through a lot of trial and error to be able to teach this to you. Yeah. Okay. And now I know my slime is done. Why? Because it has converted from liquid to solid. Okay? You see how long that took? And you see how I'm showing you the container because I want you to see that everything, all of that all the liquids that we mixed together. That's kind of the really cool thing. Hi. Thank you for watching Live with Ms. Steph. That's one of the really cool things about slime is that you're combining what looks like all liquid together, and then you get a solid. That is one of the reasons why we use it as a teaching tool to really explain chemical reactions to children who might not understand the idea of small microscopic pieces or small atoms mixing together and all that type of stuff. Well, guess what? This is me showing you that liquid can mix together in certain ratios and certain combinations to create a solid. And I'll show you the container again. See how the container is pretty much empty, right? All of that we mix together patiently. You notice how I had to be patient. Science is for the patient. You do need to be patient to do science. All right, so very quickly, so that we're not on for too long, because I do, yes, science needs to be patient, but also you all are possibly needing to get to other things in your day. So this is a piece of the slime that I kind of pulled off. I always make sure that the slime has time to rest, which is another reason why I make this so early. Yes, I know I've got an event on Saturday and you're probably thinking, well, isn't it going to go bad? No, slime doesn't go bad. That's not how it works. Slime made from glue and borax really does not go bad per se. When I say bad, meaning like spoil in some way, because of the components in it don't tend to spoil, meaning like grow bacteria or degrade or anything like that. If the slime is around heat, it will tend to revert. And it does, I've passed out slime before on hot days versus a cold day. It does behave very differently. Slime on a cold day, like right now here in New York City, it's a little chilly, a little brisk today. So slime on a chilly day, it's less likely to be sticky and stretchy and behave in certain kind of ways. Whereas slime on a hot day is real sticky. Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab this piece of clay. This piece of clay is one of the elements that we add while the child is there at the slime fun table, because they get to choose their color. All right, this is a great thing because you see how this behaves a bit like slime already, but it won't stick to clothing as much. And so this is a thing for those of you who don't want your little child to have slime on that day, but you want to bring your elder child, your middle school, your elementary school or middle schooler to the table, and you have maybe a toddler with you. We will give them a piece of the clay without the slime. And though it behaves a bit like slime, it's not as sticky and not as hard to manage. So you see how this slime is still kind of rippy? That's because it has not had time to rest. But it will have time again, like I said, to rest between now and Saturday. And I'll make at least another 2 batches so that we have plenty of slime to pass out at our 2 events, at our 2 locations of science fun. On the 27th, from 11 to 1, so 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we will be at the East Harlem Co-AD Event. And then we will hop over. Both events are uptown. So East Harlem Co-AD Event at Bethl Gospel Assembly. That is where they're holding their event. It's a community readiness event. And they'll be also celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, along with inviting the community to be ready for various things. And sustainability is one of the things that they're also encouraging and celebrating as well. So there'll be lots of things that'll be there for free, including slime for your young person. And then, like I said, we hop over to the Columbus Ave event from 3 to 6 p.m. All right, so you see how this slime has now been able to change color. So we've done now so we did a chemical reaction, and then now we're doing this physical reaction by physically combining these things, and it's changing color, and it has a bit of a different feel to it because the clay, as I showed you, the clay was a softer substance than the slime. And then I put this in here, and then you get a top. And your child has some free slime. So yeah, things that I want you to remember before I leave you, for today anyway. We have Saturday, September 27th, this coming Saturday. I've been talking about it for several weeks, but like, it's here. You can tell it's here because I've started to start making slime. Okay, like it's here. We've ordered the materials and everything. It's here, and so I just explained to you when and where and all that type of stuff. So this Saturday, next Saturday, we are hitting the ground running with our Saturday Science Club, and there will be 5 to 8 different activities set up around the room for your brilliant elementary school aged scientists to join us and have a great time. That service is free of charge for our participants, and I invite you to register now. Okay. And then we have October 9th. You should have already seen DAF Day. That is something that's new to our Miss Steph Science Club community. That's a new thing to us because it's actually only 2 years old. DAF Day, and more information about what a DAF is and how you can use your DAF, should you have one, to support hands-on, high quality hands-on STEAM education here in Harlem. All of that information is being pushed out to you all. It's been fantastic being with you today. I'm Miss Steph, and I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful day.